what was the biggest need that they saw, and it kept coming back: food, that there was no families to access. So we knew immediately that a pantry was something that we were going to do. We just didn't know how we were going. However, we were learning how to open up their own business. So we have partnered with daycare. They paid for all of the students that go through the program this year to be ServSafe certified. So after the cohort, they'll be employable. But the best part about it is we've partnered with 15 restaurants in Dade City, and they're sending chefs or bakers over to teach the kids. So they're having one-on-one opportunities within chefs who are actually living and doing it. At the end of our 15 weeks, it's right around the time that we are having our grand group Christmas party, which is our grandparents raising grandchildren group.
A significant need, many related to communication and social skills. And all of this data, just so you guys know, is from fall of 2024. The district has FTE windows. We do it in fall and spring. What is reported to the state is reported in October. So we've not yet done our fall 2025 FTE survey. So this data is about to be updated with new numbers based on the new school year. But the most recent survey reporting data that went to the state was from October of 2024. And at that point in time, we had 22,299 students with disabilities. This does not include our gifted students. This is just students with disabilities. Overall look, we have a teacher count of 7,627 within the district. That's not specific to ESE, that's teachers. Our student count is 130,054. Again, this is all based on data from October of 2024. This shows our enrollment by grade. And you can also see the breakdown of our race, ethnicity backgrounds, as well as gender. District overview. Are you guys looking at this? And I apologize. Usually it's a little bit easier. Are you seeing the slideshow version, or are you seeing the smaller slides?
It's the smaller slides.
Oh, okay. The state gap was 32%. 28% is still a huge gap, and it's something we really want to work on. When we look at achievement, we tend to focus on proficiency because sometimes the gap data doesn't give us a great indication. If you have a school where all students are performing poorly, and your ESE students are also performing poorly, there may not be as much of a gap, but that's more of an indication of poor instruction or poor quality of education, or through an IEP process. So that is something we're grateful to have this board. I know you're working on our behalf to kind of help us bring awareness to parents and to physicians. But the educational environment really looks at how much are we including students versus how much are the percentage of students that are in a self-contained setting. So 5A is the indicator that we did meet, and that's the percentage of students who are enrolled in age 5, who are enrolled in kindergarten, and age 6 through 21 that are served inside a regular class for 80% of the school day. So that's the indicator that we continue to meet, meaning we still, from a percentage point of view, we meet the target of students in inclusion. We're not pulling too many out to be in a self-contained comprehensive program.
Charts are not,
What
sometimes.
do you mean they need this? I don't think it, and it's really true. And you're like, oh my God, they're so far behind, but not having someone to compare it to. And I know we're not supposed to compare our kids, but there's a reason we use benchmarks. And so it was like, okay, this is just not, so it really is just more information to in the community about, what to look for and maybe evaluate, because you shouldn't have a nonverbal child starting it without a diagnosis. That's like way under the radar. Like, what happened? Did you avoid the topic at the doctor all the time? Like, maybe a lot of people don't like labels, and I understand that. It comes with a stigma, but it also comes with help. What I say, you know? You don't need the label. It's like wearing glasses, but they do help you see better. Thoughts for people maybe,
But everybody
Okay.
has the information. Early steps has the information of where the referrals are coming from, and they can see that there are more referrals from certain places than others. And so I think it's a matter of, just comparing that with what
back from schools, and the stress of having reduced resources because of the vacancies. What is the district doing to communicate with the parents on their plan of action?
So I don't think that every school has vacancies. Many schools do. I don't know as far as what's being communicated to families on that end. I know that from a speech and language pathology vacancy position, we do the notifications and we do the makeup service documentation. So parents received a robocall, an email, and a text last week based on the information in focus if their students were missing speech or language services, and then we're following that up with a survey. Yeah, as far as teachers go, usually it's the principals that are communicating. I don't think that there's a mass notification if there's a substitute in a classroom. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but.
Okay, so you're leaving this up to the principals.
Right, because they know where they have vacancies, and they know sometimes it's a teacher that's not really a vacancy, but they go out on maternity leave. Those aren't things that I know,
Sure.
I'm aware of. So the speech and language pathology, we hire them, so we kind of monitor that and know where we have vacancies since we place them. So that's where we do those notifications for OT, PT, speech and language. But when it comes to school-based positions, that's not something that I'm always aware of.
Is there any point that we could make to the district to maybe get with the principals to improve their communication with the parents on their efforts that they're making? Because a lot of parents are not seeing this. They're not seeing the efforts. They're not hearing about efforts being made. And it's creating a lot of frustration. If we just get some communication, we would like that. So if the district could try to get the principals to communicate better, that would be a huge thing for us parents.
Okay, I'm taking notes of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see DCP PTA president.
Hi, I'm sorry. I put this in the chat. I'm not the DCC PTA president. I'm the immediate past president. But my name is Tiffany Graham. I'm the ESE chair for DCC PTA. And a lot of our local units have questions about the ESE process. And we were looking to see if it was possible to get a speaker to do one of our program highlights next week from Duval County Schools to be able to answer questions and give information kind of like you did today, but a little bit more, layman's terms about the process and what to do if you're seeking ESE services and who to contact. And I wanted to know if Ms. Valentine would be available for something like that, or is there someone else that would need to do that?
Absolutely. Why don't you give me a call if you don't mind?
Yes.
My number is up here. It's the 348-5317, and that way we can talk about the details and see if it's me or if there's someone better suited. But yeah, we're certainly happy to share information, any opportunity we have.
Thank you. Also, you kind of answered my question in advance when you said you were sending out the PowerPoint. Is that shareable? Are you okay with that information being shared?
It's all public. I mean, much of the data is what we pulled from the state website. The initiatives, those were ours. So I will kind of review it, make sure I didn't have any typos in it before I send it out. But yeah, we're not trying to hide anything. That's the point of these meetings, is really trying to share the information we have with you, where we have challenges, what our initiatives are, and things like that. So absolutely, if you have marked yourself in the attendance and we have your email address, we will share the PowerPoint with you.
Awesome. I did do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I see.
Just added that.
Yeah, and I'm happy I took note also, because I'll talk to my supervisor who's on cabinet and can work with Scott Snyder, who's chief of schools, to make sure that your request is discussed.
I appreciate that. I don't really get a lot of, anytime I contact any of the superintendents, most of the time I'm ignored. So that's why I keep trying to
Put them on every
communicate
email.
with-
Believe me, I've done it.
I
I've
have.
sent Miss Simmons
Miss
an email
Valentine
about
knows.
homework.
I've been going through this for years, pretty much since my son started going to kindergarten. So this has been many years now.
Tanisha.
Are being provided to my child at school, because he cannot tell me verbally when the services are being provided at school, and it will require for me to go up there and actually see the log to see what days and what time the services are being provided. Now, I see the district, they rolled out the new BusyBuck system this year, and a lot of kids, they really love the new BusyBuck system. And I would love to see something similar like that system incorporated in the district, to where it alerts the parents and let us know when the services are being provided for our students, and letting us know what time, the date, and what was worked on, if possible. I just think it would be great to let us know when they're being provided, because some of our kids are not able to speak up and let us know what they worked on.
Yeah, and Tanisha, I understand. I have a son who's nonverbal myself, so I know it's always hard to know exactly what and when things happen. So I guess it depends on, and I'm not familiar with the platform that you mentioned. I'm sure some schools in the district are using it. I haven't seen it. I know, depending on what type of services you're talking about, many services are offered throughout the school day by ESE teachers, and there's no way that it would be practical to say, okay, now we're doing our 10-minute daily, social skills instruction. But there's other things like the speech language or occupational therapy when they're pulled out or when they're worked with in small groups. That is usually identified. The time of that is usually on the child's schedule, especially by now in October. So if you're talking about things like related services, sometimes it's a matter of looking at your child's schedule and being there. It doesn't tell you what they're working on, but it tells you the expected time each day or each week that your student should be receiving services. Certainly, sometimes there is some fluctuation. If there's an IEP meeting during that time, it might be scheduled till later in the day. So that might be a first step in looking.
So let me clarify. So my child, he can speak up for himself. He's not nonverbal, but he does have a language communication barrier. And he does have an IEP in place. But it doesn't say anywhere on his schedule what time he's being pulled out for services. And some days he'll tell me, his therapist did not come pick him up, or he didn't see anybody. And I know he said somebody didn't come get him out of class until like the 3rd or 4th week after school started. So that's why I was saying that it would be good for transparency purposes to just have a system like that in place, because the BusyBuck system, to my knowledge, was created by a principal at the school here that used to be a principal, and they branched off and created the system and I guess sold it to the district, and it's being implemented. But if something like that can be useful, I think it would also be useful for parents, like me, who are busy and don't have the time to go up to the school to make sure that their child is being provided services and make sure that their child is actually getting help at school. I just think it would be a great idea.
Yeah, so at any time, so for things like speech, anything that's Medicaid billable, we do enter in one system. And so oftentimes parents will say, I'd like to have a copy of my child's speech services. We don't want to have therapists and providers entering in multiple systems because that takes away time that they could be spending with students. But you can certainly, without going up to the school, if it is a related service provider, those are billed in a platform that we are able to print out those the documentation of the minutes and the targets. So at this point, that's what we're using. Those BusyBot is not something that is aligned with our IEP. So there's two places that we document services for teachers. That would be through Focus, and that's what the system that we use for our IEPs, so that the goals are already there. We document services. And then for Medicaid billable services, it's through Max Capture.
Okay.
But at any point in time, you can certainly reach out to ask to have those logs printed for you.
And you said for Medicaid billable services?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what if a person does not have Medicaid? Are they still being entered in that system?
Yeah, so, and this kind of takes us on a whole nother topic, but it's a system that allows you to bill Medicaid for parents who have provided consent and have Medicaid. So because we don't know who has Medicaid and who doesn't, we only know who's provided consent. And even when they give us consent, they don't tell us, yes, I have it, no, I don't. So because districts we're mandated to bill Medicaid if we have parental consent. So because we don't know that and we don't want to know the personal information of families, we use for all of those, everybody uses that system because many families do have Medicaid and we do bill for some. It's all done through randomized, it's a whole system. So we don't know who's actually billing. We have to do it for all people. And then the system automatically pulls out confidentially the students who have Medicaid eligibility. Does that make sense? I know that's kind of a totally different.
It's all small groups with about 3 to 4 different students. Is there any plan in place to provide more therapists at the schools, or are there small groups going to be a thing for the current time period?
So, I mean, it's all individualized. It's based on the student's IEP. It's not based on the number. So we allocate therapists based on the students at the school, what their IEPs say. So it's in the educational environment, therapies are typically provided small group unless a team has identified that this child needs one-on-one for a particular reason. But the norm is that you would be doing small group therapies. Therapies differ in an educational setting than they do in a private setting because we are only providing educationally relevant therapy, where at a private provider, they may work on things like they may work with a child who stutters if the stuttering isn't significant enough to impact their education. Whereas in a school system, we would work with students who stutter if it's impacting their ability to communicate with peers. But if it's just a mild, thing, it's not necessarily something that we would deem educationally relevant. So there's different thresholds based on whether you're receiving services in the private sector versus the educational sector.
Yes. So like right now, my son, he has an IEP, and I think he's only receiving about 20 minutes. And his therapist is working with him on fluency, but I'm paying for private hour sessions because the 20 minutes is just not enough, and he's not getting the attention that he needs from the district because it's not enough therapists at the school so that he can get a longer time frame. So that's why I'm concerned about if we could possibly look at providing more therapists, because I know we are reassigning teachers, but maybe offering incentives for them to possibly, get the actual credentials that they need to possibly be therapists instead of teachers. I don't know how the district is looking at reassigning some of the teachers, But just looking at ways that how we can help a lot of these schools get the therapists that they need.
So I know to be a speech and language pathologist requires a master's degree, an undergrad and a master's in speech and language pathology is my understanding. So I don't believe, I did hear that some teachers were reassigned, but I don't know that any lost their jobs. But certainly we do continue to do the hard to staff supplement. We have not done any programs for teachers to become speech and language pathologists. I wish there was some kind of fast track that wasn't, a 5 or 6 year process. But we will continue to explore that because I know we're not the only district that's really searching and trying to think outside the box. So I appreciate those suggestions.
You're welcome. It just seems to be all over Florida that a lot of districts are also facing the same issue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
It's actually nationwide. This is crazy. So if you know anybody, please recommend that they go into speech and language pathology if they're starting off in school, if you have any kids or.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about going back to school myself just from, having to help my own son. So, yes.
Well, make sure you come and apply with us when we finish.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
That's how I even started on here. You have your own kid, and then you notice the need for others that need help. Yasmina!
Hi, yeah. I just had a question related to HB 1105 and how that really hasn't been a... Huh?
You have to elaborate on that one for me, because just the numbers, I might get lost.
I'm sure Amy probably knows about it as it relates to the graduation requirements for...
Yeah, so so as far as that's the one that has to do with the certificate of completion.
Correct.
Yeah, and we have not been issuing certificates of completion for years. I know there are some students who haven't been able to meet general standards where it's not a program of study that they intentionally go into. That's not going to have a huge impact. Most of our students, at least our students with disabilities, if it's a result of their disability, if they need access point standards, they're all participating in a general, they're all receiving a general diploma in access point. There's really not that distinguishment that there used to be. We do have different programs of studies. Most of our students, we're not currently using the certificate of completion unless a child has made it to the end. They've not been able to meet graduation requirements, and so it may still, it's not impacting our students. We don't anticipate that that's going to be a big change for us as a district.
And the reason I bring it up is because, it went viral from Rep. Rustamani sharing it on Facebook, and, naturally it sent parents into a frenzy and not even understanding, not being able to understand or comprehend what the law was saying. And then, miscommunication starts and it just becomes a domino effect. So I really would have appreciated if the district or somebody would have made some clarification to those families so that they could better understand what was being said. Because there's still miscommunication. There's still families who are not sure what's happening there.
So no one has reached out to me. I was not aware that there was so much confusion, but if there is a family who wants to talk to me about their child to ensure that their child, we don't intentionally put any child on a certificate of completion pathway. Yeah, so I'm not sure, if when we read House Bill 1105, that was not a big flag for us because it's not something that we typically utilize, but I'm happy to speak with anyone individually if you want to give them my number if they're concerned about their student. We've not had to do anything on our end to adjust from an ESE perspective.
I remember seeing it online with people confused though about it.
Yeah, and I went to DAC. I went to DAC last night and it still came up. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I do know that they reached out to me because it also included in House Bill 1105. There's, I believe that also includes the caveat about for students with autism, the workforce credentials. Yeah. So they had reached out to me to speak about that, but we've yet to receive any information. So it's the state is just, they have until, gosh, I can't remember what it was, not September. It was, they have until I think December 31st or something to come up with this curriculum before they roll it out to us. So we've not received any additional information yet from the state in order to present anything. So when they spoke with me about the credentials, I did say, once we have information to share, I'll be happy to share that. But it wasn't related to the certificate of completion. There was a lot that was crammed into that bill.
100%.
Yeah, so, I was not aware that there was confusion, but if there's any families that want to reach out, if you think it would be helpful to kind of schedule, I mean, I don't have any information to share on it other than our students are all either on an 18-hour credit option, they're working towards a general diploma,